Good evening. Welcome to the August 18th school board meeting. We will start with our roll call, please.
Michael Boucher.
Here.
Katie Knudsen. Here. Shauna Manthorn.
Here.
Kim Farah.
Here.
Steve Finnegan.
Here.
Kristen Savage.
Here.
Kim McCormick.
Here.
Mark Sherwood.
Here.
Brian.
No, it's okay.
Brian Boyle.
I'm here.
He's here, which leads to our next one. I just wanted to welcome back Brian Boyle, who was voted by the Atkinson Board of Selectmen to take Amy's seat. So Brian, welcome back. I'm glad to have you back on the board and look forward to working with you again. So we will go from there to the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you forget how things run.
Yeah, if you, right.
It's been a long time.
If you need help. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was not to start right. It's like 1984.
I just thought we should just get a big fat head on the
Like,
phone.
it really,
We should
I mean,
just put a fat
honestly. All right, so let's review the board members. You have the meeting minutes for the July 14th meeting. If you could just take a moment to review those.
I'll make a motion to accept the July 14th minutes.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any comments, questions, concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? 2. So 702.
Shouldn't, Mark, you should have abstained, right, did you?
I did not abstain. I was here for that one.
Yeah.
Oh, and as you read in yours absent.
Yeah,
No, it says present.
No,
he
says
absent. Oh, it does say
I
absent.
don't think he was.
He wasn't
Board
here.
member present.
It was my
You
first
weren't
meeting.
here, Mark. No.
July 14th, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's, oh.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, he wasn't.
All right,
So
so,
long ago.
let's take another vote.
Revote.
Approve? Okay, oppose, abstain. 0-3. Math there, I appreciate that. We do have some, non-public minutes that I will send around. That'd be great. Thank you. If you could just take a moment to read through those, that would be great.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 14th non-public session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Opposed? Abstained? 603. All right, if you could send those back, please. I did just want, while they're coming back, want to take a minute to thank Kelly for filling in as our recording secretary. And also just make a plug, again, for Kelly, on Kelly's behalf, that we have an opening for a recording secretary. So, Kelly, thanks for filling in, and we appreciate it. So, all right, delegates and individuals. All right. Okay. We're going to start with the audit engagement. We do need to take action on this, I guess.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chair to sign the audit engagement letter. Oh, you can come up. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, not at all.
So I guess before the, well, no, you already made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second for the chair to sign the audit engagement. Do you want to just sort of give an overview of?
Absolutely.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Well, that's just the engagement letter. The audit took place on August 1st. The audit took, they were originally scheduled for 5 days. We were actually able to, there was 4 of them, supposed to be for 5 days. They were out by Wednesday.
Nice.
which was fantastic. And as of right now, we've only heard of one finding.
Great.
The audit report has not been, we haven't received the final audit report, but as of right now, only one finding, which is a tremendous improvement. And actually, the finding has already been addressed. It was a misunderstanding and will be taken care of. So, very, great work by the bookkeepers at the various schools. They've taken action on prior findings. We've discussed them. They've made great strides they want to do the best job they can. So they really came through. And, as far as the team here as well, everyone was able to get the auditors exactly what they were looking for, and to have them out in 2.5 days was fantastic. So we're just waiting on the final results now, but so far everything looks fantastic.
It's really great.
Good job.
Any questions?
So why are we signing the audit engagement
Well,
letter
this is-
now, after the fact?
This was, this is to engage them, this is to say this is what they're gonna be doing for the audit that they've already performed.
I know.
But you still have to sign the engagement letter so that they can bill us and they agree upon what procedures they're gonna perform.
Right, I agree. I guess maybe it was just, this
Well,
came out the same day as we had a meeting, so we didn't get to it the
Right.
last meeting.
Exactly.
It's fine, it's fine, it's, anyway.
Yeah. All right, so we, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, 9-0, thank you. Next is the Primex contribution. So, do you want to just give an overview and,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Like we did a couple weeks ago, we were presented with another 3-year cap, but this time for property and liability. The last time it was for workers' compensation. This is going to be our second cap that we've been offered. The last cap was also, this one is for 7%, and the last one was for 7%. This one will start July 1st of 2024. And run through 2026. After I investigate a little bit, this really helps with budgeting purposes, so that at least we have a number that they won't go over. Looking at what they've done in the last 3 years, because we've already received our bill for this fiscal year, they've only gone up 2.36% in the last 3 years. So, but at least for budgeting purposes, by accepting this cap program, we at least will minimize our risk.
I'll make a motion to accept to authorize the chair to sign the Primex property and liability coverage cap.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have the extracurricular sponsorship and fundraising. Sorry, Deja, why don't you come on up? Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, folks. The school board normally every 2 years approves the sponsor signs that are on the school grounds, any fundraisers that have signs from businesses. And they normally do those every 2 years. What we talked about with Booster Presidents and what we talked about with Superintendent was maybe in an attempt to streamline this, we would try to put them all on every even year, so that this way it's a little easier to manage, especially when we have turnover with different boosters, graduations, and make it a little bit easier for you guys. It would just be every even year. We're gonna come for the approvals, and I think in your package you have the programs that traditionally are doing that and are requesting it again right now. So we were hoping that they could be approved, and we can go on every even year, and I would add that to the booster handbook so that I can work with booster presidents and make sure that they know that.
Fast question. So we're currently reviewing it every other year. And so essentially we'll still be doing it every other year, just on even years?
So the problem is, and I'm sorry if I wasn't clear, so right now, different boosters are on different years. So it gets a little confusing, and then we have turnover, so people are like, I think we did it last year, I'm not sure. So I'm like, well, why don't we all just do it on every even year? And then this way, people will know that, and we'll have that ready all the time. Just make it a little bit easier, probably for you and for us.
Go ahead, Kim.
The problem is the policy does not call for it to be done on every other year. So even though that may have been past practice, it's not correct. So if you want to do this, the policy needs to be changed. And really, everybody should be coming every year based on my read of the policy.
Right. So is there an advantage to doing it every other year, other than just the workload for us to review on an
We were
annual
instructed
basis?
to do it every other year, so
Might
that's what we
that,
said, but that's perfectly fine if you want to
I
stay
don't,
every year.
I don't mind, but
Yeah, we've
you
got to,
want to change the policy to
Yep.
reflect what is in practice, if we're going to do it that way.
right. So we would have to send policy KJA back to policy committee for review and update to reflect that change.
So right now, for this year, though, these are all of the boosters that are doing this, that we would need to approve this year, so we have a year from here to figure if we're
Right.
gonna change the policy or just come in every year.
Correct.
So we can still move forward and approve this for this year, and then figure out how we go forward in the future.
Okay.
would there be an advantage or disadvantage as far as you're concerned to doing it every year rather than every other year? I'm
It's-
just thinking one business could go out and their signs would be, no longer doing service to them or the community, and somebody else may want to step in and do it. And if we're locked to every other year, we may be,
So I think that, just so that you know, the school board approval, is one thing. If they go out and get different businesses or different pieces, they still have to come through every year to the athletic department through the
Okay.
process. So whichever way you guys want to go is fine with us. But we were instructed to do it every 2, so we were just thinking it would be easier, but whatever you guys decide to do is fine with us. We'll do whatever you want us to do.
So I guess my recommendation would be is to go through and take a vote on what we have here. And then I would request that policy KJA move back to policy committee for review.
Well, is it the consensus of the board that every 2 years would be okay if we change the policy, or before you send it back to review?
Yeah, good
I mean,
question.
That's,
Yeah,
I mean, if the board still wants to see this every year, then you leave the policy alone and we just
Yep.
do it every year. If
Yep.
The board, but,
Well, I think I'd also like to see what the New Hampshire School Board sample policy is on it, too. I
Yeah.
don't care one way or another. Personally, I don't have a
No.
problem with it every other year.
okay. How does,
Steve?
So,
yeah,
Angel, so what is, to follow up on your concern question, what is the advantage? Why wouldn't we want to see it every year, just to know what's
We
going
were
on?
instructed not too long ago to go to every 2 years.
When you say we, you mean it came down through school board administration
Correct.
to you? Okay.
So all I'm saying is if that was the case, we thought it might be easier for you guys. If you want to stay every year, that's perfectly fine. We do it every year anyway. It's up to you guys.
I don't see a disadvantage just shooting from the hip to see it every year. Don't know
Okay.
how other people feel.
yeah. How does everybody feel? Well, I guess let's just take,
Pretty simple to me.
the form's done every year anyways by
It-
boosters, so it's just a matter of.
I was just
coming
gonna
in
say,
for-
it doesn't matter.
Or sending it in and.
We
having
do
it
everything
approved.
every
So
year.
If it's gonna be done, then the only advantage is if somebody does change their
yeah,
form on here, we can see it and see, potentially
yeah,
the second set of eyes, so I don't think it's already worked. It's not like we're asking anyone to do extra work other than
yeah,
the few minutes that it would take for us to look it over and approve it, so
yeah. So, yeah, I guess I'm
So
not
just
opposed to having it
just stick
stay
with it
the way it
and
is,
just-
yeah.
So we're re-instructing you every year instead of every year. Okay.
We'll see you next year.
There you go.
I'll make a motion to approve the booster opportunities that were presented to us by Mr. Fantasia.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other conversation?
This is just a partial opportunity, just for clarification. It's just not all boosters do this. It's just the signs on the fields and.
Correct.
that
On the
some-
school grounds, yeah.
On school grounds that some boosters choose to pursue, so it's not every sport. So,
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Great, 9-0. Thank you. The next piece is really informational. So the policy LJCJA, everybody get that? LJCJA, will be reviewed by the policy committee at the next meeting, but it is required by law for the school board to be provided a yearly update of the athletics emergency operations plan or action plan. So Mr. Fantasia provided it to us. Are there any questions or comments regarding this. Sure, everybody will take a look at this and read it thoroughly. There'll be a quiz next time. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you,
Thank you.
folks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I
Weird.
just seeing myself as weird, so. All right, next is our enrollment update. We have Lucy here to come talk to us. Thank you. So, I will turn it over to you, Lucy.
Well, at the risk of reading it for you, there is one grade level at Danville second grade that we've exceeded capacity by one student at the grade. Currently, we are looking at moving already hired staff. So this year we've put in place regular ed interventionists, regular ed paraeducators who are working as interventionists. Because Danville has a higher allocation for Title I funding, we feel like we're able to move one of those paraeducators into second grade. So they will still have 4 staff members doing intervention all day long. And so if you, we come before you because we will need to waive policy because we are over, but we have a plan in place to support that grade level and those classrooms with the current staffing. If that number increases, then we should probably talk about whether or not we look at any other option. There are also a couple of other grade levels that are highlighted in yellow because they are close, but we're so close to school starting that I don't anticipate those are going to blossom over the level at this point.
All right, so just so that we're all clear, what?
No, we don't have the highlighted in yellow, am I correct? And so I'm looking at my sheet.
We don't. Ours is not
You
yellow.
can't see it, it's,
So which class is that, do you know?
it's Pollard grade, is it kindergarten and first grade in Pollard?
I was gonna say, hold on, I have it here.
It was online, you could see it.
Yeah, online you can
Is it
see it.
online?
I think it's
Hold on.
Pollard grade, kindergarten and grade 1, if I wasn't mistaken.
I thought it was Atkinson Academy.
Or it could be
Full
Atkinson
day.
Academy.
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten
grade
and grade 1.
We
Yeah,
have
but there was one at,
full day K in grade 1 at Atkinson.
Oh, it is Atkinson, okay.
Yep, and then Pollard School grade 2 is in yellow.
Thank you, Shauna.
Yep.
But they were yellow, they're not
Yeah.
over. Danville's the only one that needs
Right.
the waiver.
I
Yeah.
was just wondering
Yep.
which ones to look at.
So I think
Sorry about that.
no, that's,
And I'm like, I don't see any
Grade
yellow.
1.
so I think the important piece here is that, we have, we have the resources already allocated to Danville that will allow for us to waive, this policy with no real, impact, I guess, right, yeah,
Question.
yeah.
Was there consideration for a third teacher in second grade at Danville?
So in the past, we haven't requested a teacher for one student. We've typically seen numbers go to 2 or 3 in a classroom over before we've come and requested from the board. From our perspective, typically if we go over by 1, we might request a paraeducator. We feel as though we already have that support in place, so we don't need to ask you to add a paraeducator to the budget because we can account for that in the current budget as is.
But to answer that question very directly, yes, we would give consideration to adding a teacher. Can you hear me?
I
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Just ignoring you.
It was just so direct, people didn't know what to do.
Exactly, it's just kind of creepy all of a sudden coming from behind me, I'm like, oh, he's there. Is he?
Who's talking?
Hi, Chris.
Okay, so,
I'll make a motion to allow for
A waiver.
a waiver.
waiver for grade 2 in Danville.
I'll second that.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Opposed? No, that was 9, so great. Thank you. Okay. Next is our staffing update. So to review, our vacancy lists, and we have a variety of newly hired folks. So I think, without having to go through all of them,
I would just name out the two principals.
Okay, yeah, sure. So we did hire a principal at Pollard Elementary, Stephanie Lafreniere, I think, yeah? Is that Lafreniere? I was so not even close. And much easier, an assistant principal at Danville Elementary, Tiffany Eaton. So congratulations and welcome. We did have a bunch of other professional hires throughout the district. And just as a reference point, it looks like there are, there are 5 teaching positions still open in the district, 2 in the high school, 3 in the middle school. As I said earlier, we have a school board position open for our recording secretary. We have looks like 12 special education positions open and 3 student service positions open. So for the public who's watching, if you're interested in coming to work for Timberlane, please go online and apply as necessary. Any questions or comments on this? No? Okay, great. So we do have a facility update, and we are, so Carl really just gave everybody an executive summary. A lot of the paving that we've seen throughout the district is either has been done or is coming to completion this week. There are a couple of projects that are still on hold due to supply chain. So I did reach out to Carl to get an understanding of some of the supply chain issues. I'm just pulling up the email. I'm not checking scores of anything, I promise. So regarding the door locks, so a couple of the questions that I had were the door locks, because that to me was really a safety concern. They're inquiring on a more precise ship date for the door hardware. The last inquiry put it somewhere in mid-September. I'm hoping that we can get those in, although I think at this point, if we get them in, I'm not sure that they'll be installed before school starts, which is, just a week away. Regarding the windows, they have been ordered. I guess there's a backlog across the country for all vendors. Carl said all he can say is it's taking months to get replacement glass for windows that have been broken. But again, he's on it, and we're, really trying to push our vendors to get anything we can as quickly as we can. The last question that I had for Carl was along the resale value for the, is it the dump truck or the pickup truck? That the old truck, the grounds dump truck. So we've replaced that. And so he put in our executive summary that we have the option of using it as a backup truck or we could sell it. So I just asked him what really the retail value for selling it would be, and it's around $10,000. And then add an additional $500 for the plow. But he said trucks are in high demand, so he thinks that we could potentially get more at auction for that. And so I guess it's really for discussion of the board if we want to keep that as a backup or to sell it.
And part of the concern was if we have a problem with another vehicle, it's gonna be hard for us to replace one, so keeping that as a backup
Yep,
might be smart for a little while.
yep.
So, but we don't want it to sit there and deteriorate
Right.
either, but, so it's,
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Do you happen to know offhand, and it's an unfair question probably, because you probably don't, and Carl may, what the mileage and the longevity of the current vehicles that this would be serving as backup for?
I was gonna try to come up with a clever answer to that.
I'll keep on talking.
I
Give
was
you
like,
time.
man, that's,
how about a clever answer? No, but
I-
we can ask for the next
yeah,
meeting.
yes, that is the clever answer. I will,
There we
Yeah, let's
go.
wait to take action on this
Okay.
till
Yeah.
Carl's here, because
Okay.
he'll have all the answers on it.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest.
all right,
And Carl's at training tonight, just so people know there's a reason why he's not here, so.
okay. Is everybody okay with sort of holding off on this? And I don't think there's any real
Urgency.
demand to do this right now, so.
Brian, did you have a comment?
I would wait for Kyle, but I'm not a big fan of just keeping something around for a goof.
I'm not either, especially
Yeah.
something like that, it's gonna,
It's,
I mean, it will probably lose value too, right? And
Exactly
so,
right. yeah.
So if you can
You're not using
maximize-
it, you don't need it, and it's not good.
But I did, yeah, so we'll wait for Carl and we'll bring this to the next agenda, but I did want to say, there was a lot of items on the maintenance and facilities team this summer, and they've really accomplished a lot.
Yeah, they definitely
So kudos to them. I mean, there were like, boilers being installed, there were like sinkholes being
Occurring
filled,
and-
like, yeah, I mean, there were just a lot of great work, and I don't think we call that out enough of how great of a facilities team we have, and so, Carl and team, thank you for all your hard work with this, and we'll continue to, see, yes.
I wanna have a little discussion here about the electricity rate, which is going to double in November, it looks like, according to this. Have you made a decision as to whether or not you're gonna try to lock in for 48 months or stay at a 12-month term? And this is just going out to the business or staff. We need to,
I know that they're constantly monitoring it. We're working with a company that is monitoring the rates daily. I don't know if they've come to a decision yet,
okay.
but he sends updates every single day for prices we can lock into.
Oh,
And
oh,
they've been dropping over the past week.
oh, have they?
Yeah, so I think they're just waiting to,
So we're gonna try to lock in for 48 months? Is that the plan? We're still
I'm
gonna,
not sure.
I don't know the months.
We had a discussion,
on here.
a small facilities meeting. Katie and I, and we spoke with Maria, and she was basically saying the same thing, that we're monitoring it. It's December, I think, that we have to.
it's November.
November, yeah.
It's December, she said we have till the end of November.
Through
to-
November.
To lock in for the December. So she was, again, watching it daily and trying to figure out what the best thing would be, and then to bring it to us at that point. But right now, they're just watching it, and one of the concerns is, with an election and everything else too, is that gonna affect certain rates and whatnot? So she's trying to be very cautious, not jump on something too quick, and watch the trends, and just see where it's going. So
Yeah.
they are watching it daily with the idea of seeing what makes the most sense at the right time.
That's great.
So, but there is no definitive answer at this time.
And then that brings the next issue, which is the reduction of lead in drinking water from 10 parts per billion to 5, is we're probably gonna need to budget for how we're going to get our systems so that we can get down to that level.
Yeah, so I would just ask that maybe we put this on the agenda for our next meeting so that Carl can talk to this and we can get some cost estimates as to what it's going to take.
But speaking of water with Pollard, did we talk any more about the potable water possibly? I know the town of Plastow got a $1.5 million grant to help with hooking up. Did we ever figure out anything on the school side of things?
Not that I'm aware. I think there have been communication between the town and, yeah.
Chris?
Carl has been communicating, he is reaching out to Greg Colby. The question being, can we just connect or run the connection with the grant fund running at least just the connection? And then if we could connect at a time in the future. I haven't been in touch with Carl to know the answer to that question or not. So I expect that he will have that answer for us soon. And, depending on how that goes, because we already moved forward with the filtration based on the decision at the last meeting. So that was already taking place as of, I think, early this week. It was beginning, if not at the end of last week. So there's that. Just as a point of information, where I am down in southeast Florida, with regard to the electric, the current price per gallon of gasoline is, I would say the average that I've seen, it's ranged from $3.40 to $3.55. So I'm curious what it is. I just looked online, it looks like it's still approximately $4 a gallon in New Hampshire. Would that be accurate?
Yep.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, energy is energy, and I know it's all connected. I'm just curious, with respect to locking in at a rate. I don't know if, waiting, it sounds like waiting might be the better option. So just thought I'd throw that out there with a perspective from a different location in the United States right now.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I think that's, I think the fact that they're monitoring it daily is really a great plan. Okay, so it sounds like we have a couple of agenda items to push forward to our next agenda when Carl is here.
And we'll make certain to reach out to Carl to see what the most recent tests were at these facilities, to see how many we will need to bring down from 10 to 5.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to reach out to him and get that information and share with the board.
I know, the filtration.
Any other questions?
The only thing I'd want to say on the facilities is just a reminder that the HVAC, the only reason that's not being done is we're waiting on parts and things of that nature. It's a supply chain issue, so I know there was concern that we were doing things and moving forward with other projects like paving and things of that nature and not addressing HVAC. It's not that we're not addressing it, you can't do the work if you don't have the materials and the people to do it.
We also have a timeline by which we need to spend federal money.
Right.
So
Right, but
Correct.
that's part of it.
there's not much you can do if it's,
No.
if the material's not there, so. I'm sorry, I'm not. So.
Got it. Any other questions? All right, super. Next, we have, the board is looking, or the district is looking for a motion from the board to accept $1,000 of donated funds from SNHU to be used for the 2023-2024 high school college fair. So I think, Mark, did you have anything to add to that?
Yes. Good evening.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
Well, thank you.
So just to clarify, that is actually for this year's college fair.
Got it.
Sorry, if
That's
that was,
okay.
if that was a confusing piece there. It's September 12th, the high school is hosting a college fair. We've done this in the past. And for the past number of years, Southern New Hampshire University has donated money to help us with that event. Colleges from around New England and around the country come. They send representatives, and the students, juniors and seniors, get an opportunity to speak with college reps and learn a little bit more about that college and learn a little bit more about their options after graduation. So this is just asking the board to accept that donation so we can use that money to support that event.
Is the SNU logo on any of these things?
I think this new logo, I know in the past they have given backpacks. We haven't bought those backpacks. I know they send a representative. One of the things that they are using that money for is T-shirts for students who are the student reps and the counselors who, identify themselves as Timberlane counselors for the students and the reps. I don't know if this new logo is going on those. I don't believe they have in the past. I don't think, as far as I know, there's no, strings attached, if you will, to that. I think SNU just does this. I know that, like that backpack, I said that they've given it's one of those little drawstring backpacks. SNU has given those in the past, and SNU logo's been on that for kids to put things in. But I don't believe there's any strings attached to this money.
As long as we can confirm that there are no incentivized logoing, that way I think it's a great opportunity. Let's accept it. But I know where you're coming from, and I would find that distasteful as well. But if they want to give out backpacks or whatever else, every other school has the opportunity to do that, as long as they don't gain an unfair visual advantage over other institutions. Thank you for the $1,000 donation.
Does SNU do this for other districts? Mark, do you know?
I do not know if SNU does this for other districts.
Okay. But they've done this in the past, and
Yeah.
this is a...
We've done the college fair in the past, and SNU has, as far as I know, SNU has donated in the past, and we've used that money in the past for similar things, refreshments, bottles of water for the presenters, and like I said, those T-shirts to.
So no strings attached. The T-shirts don't have to say SNU on them, right?
I mean, I can clarify with our school counseling director, Maura Mayer. I can just clarify and just make sure that that's part of the stipulation of accepting that.
Does this have a timeline when this needs to be accepted?
Well, figuring that it's happening September 12th.
Yes.
There's a pretty,
And they need to order things, I'm sure.
That in the past, we have accepted this $1,000 donation, and it's been used more for supplies. So it's been what our staff has basically provided to make this college fair come to fruition. So it's not like the t-shirts have to have SNU on it, but it's for, like you said, the water refreshments and so forth, because I've seen the grant set up for it and the spec.
Perfect.
Great, I'll make a motion to accept the $1,000 donation from SNU for the college fair.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? 801. So Mark, while you're here, if you could talk about the donation of the shed to the middle school.
Sure. Principal Mensis asked me to bring this tonight to you all. He was approached and was offered this shed as a donation for storage for mainly athletic supplies outside of the middle school. If you can see on the executive summary, there's a map there and a tentative site for that shed. So it's off on, near that softball field in the back of the middle school there. It's a 10-foot, roughly a 10-foot by 12-foot shed built by Tough Sheds. And so they are donating that. It's roughly a $4,000 shed that they've been quoted, but they're willing to, they're going to build it, deliver it, and install it as long as it's accepted by the board. And like I said, it's for athletic equipment storage.
Yes.
I just want to make sure it goes, have Carl go, that should be going through Carl, right?
Carl is aware of this,
Okay.
And Carl has approved it.
Good enough for me.
Any other questions?
Wasn't there a shed out there already? There's some storage out
Well,
there.
the middle school, so by the middle, in roughly that same area, actually a little bit further by where the basketball hoops were, there was at one time one of those metal storage containers.
Is that gone?
I have not seen it. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if it's still in the district anywhere. But that big metal storage container is gone.
Okay, so it's gone. I
Right,
just
rusted
wondered,
or
because
something.
my daughter played field hockey, and I remember walking by it, so I don't see it on the picture. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I
Curious.
can't tell you where it went.
Okay, interesting.
All right. Any other questions? I will take a motion for anybody.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, I got a motion and a second to accept the shed. If no other questions, all in favor? That's everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, next is the school bus routes. They're not in the packet. They were emailed to the board members. Chris, did you want to talk a little bit about
Sure.
this? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, consistent with New Hampshire laws, I'm asking that the that the Timberlake School Board approve all of our school bus routes, because what those do is indicate the school bus stops. And school bus stops are required by law to be approved by school boards. The relevant statute is 189:8, if anybody's really interested in looking at something like that. But this will, provide us those approved school bus routes by the school board that will then get posted tomorrow on our website.
Excellent. Any questions? Yes.
So Chris, who is currently overseeing for Timberlane the school buses?
Transportation.
Thank you.
I am, and I'm transitioning that, well, both Ginger Drexel and I should say. I'm transitioning that to Ginger, our Director of Student Services. So I just wanted to get, up and running and continue to work with her to transition that to fall under her. And so far, so good. Welcome back, Mr. Boyle.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Michael?
Yeah, so basically you're just looking to have this approved by us. So in terms of the actual, I guess, RSA, we're just making sure that you have routes, correct? And then we're just approving it? Or is there other considerations we should have in mind?
It's really the bus stops. 189:8 speaks to the bus stops more specifically than the bus routes. Because 189:8 speaks to the safety of students walking to and from and navigating their way to and from school bus stops. And that's what the school board's really approving are the bus stops, but the bus stops just take form in our school bus routes. I can pull up the statute and read it for you if you like. Let's see. So 189:8, limitations and additions under school board's transportation and instruction of pupils. Pupils entitled to transportation in accordance with RSA 189:6, which is the general RSA regarding school bus transportation, may be required to walk a distance not to exceed 1 mile to a school bus stop established by the local school board. Pupils residing in areas which are inaccessible by a local school district's established mode of transportation may be required to walk a distance not to exceed 1.5 miles to a school bus stop, provided that the vehicle, route, and schedule have been approved by the Commissioner of Education. School district shall assure that pupils shall not be subject to unsafe conditions while walking the required distance to a school bus stop, and that the school bus stop is established in a safe location. So that's what you are all approving.
All right, well, based on what you just said then, and we would have to, I guess, go based on your guidance, but do every student fall within that guidelines and that they're not walking any further than the maximum distance?
Absolutely. And there is a procedure for appeals, for parents to appeal, but I will tell you this, a couple of years ago, the process by which that was done is, as many things are, very reliant upon the last person standing who had done this at the Department of Safety, Department of Transportation for probably 30 years. He actually retired, I think, 3 years ago. And he developed the entire process. He developed the form that was used to assess the safety of school bus stops. I did a little bit of work with him back at my former school district. I was glad, I was very lucky to be able to catch him even a year after he had retired. And he shared quite a bit of valuable information with me. But since that time, actually the Department of Safety / Department of Transportation has even removed some of the forms and things used because of, I think, due to some case law and things, but the standards remain essentially the same. But it is a very subjective look at school bus stops with respect to safety, as it's an ever-changing thing, as we all know. There are so many different challenges now for drivers and what was accepted, I think, as far as what was considered to be safe with respect to a student navigating their way to and from a bus stop. There are a number of things that have become a little bit more complicated. But to your point, Michael, to your question, all of our school bus stops are a much shorter distance than anything even close to a mile within the district.
All right, that's good.
Any other questions? Okay. Did we get a motion? No. Oh, good. I'll accept a motion I'll make a motion to approve the 2022, 2023 school bus stops.
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Great, thank you. Thank you, Chris, for that explanation.
Thank you.
Next is the policies for first read. So we have the following policies for first read. Policy BDE, GBEA, GBEAB, IKF. Sorry, let me go back really quick. I'll read what the policy actually is so that the public can see that or hear that. BDE is Board Superintendent Leadership Team Standing Committees. GBEA is Staff Ethics. GBEAB is Mandatory Code of Conduct Reporting, all employees. IKF is High School Graduation. JFAD, Admission of Homeless Students. JFABE, Education of Children in Foster Care. JICH is Prohibited Drugs and Alcohol Use by Students. So I can take a motion for first read. Thank you. Do I have a second? I have a second. Great, all in favor? Oh, you have a question, comments, and questions and
Comments,
concerns?
there are some errors in here that need to be corrected before the second read. The first policy, BDE, I'm not sure who was doing this, but why does the board want a transportation committee as a standing committee?
Because the New Hampshire School Board Association recommended policy regarding committees includes transportation and similar, with regard to what I was just speaking about. So one of the things that school districts need to have in place is an appeals process. So in the event that a parent requests a change in a bus stop, then if we are saying, oh, well, we can't change that bus stop due to, whatever reasons, the family should have the opportunity to appeal to a transportation committee with respect to that bus stop. And the transportation committee would, review that appeal. Typically what you do as a process is the members of the transportation committee will either review video or actually go out. I used to always go out to the stops with the transportation committee members if they so choose to do that, and met with the families in the event that, there were concerns, and have them explain the concerns. And then the transportation committee, just like all of our other committees, would go ahead and make a recommendation to the school board.
That was the rationale. There was some pushback in why add a committee that's not needed. It was viewed, the potential of being overutilized is probably not something that I'm concerned with, but to have a policy in place for parents, for the public to come to a select group of people rather than have everybody involved.
I'm just not for adding this as another standing committee of the board when I know in the past there've been issues and it's typically just been dealt with by the superintendent.
I think in the past it was dealt by the full-time transportation coordinator, actually. Prior to my arrival, there was a full-time transportation coordinator here.
True, but it was also dealt with by the superintendent because Brian Boyle and I remember going to a bus stop with the superintendent to have a discussion about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not for it. Partly too, the reason I'm not for it, and I understand that the School Board Association is recommending it, but they also don't have 6 unions that they're trying to staff with 9 board members on contracts. I'm just concerned about having yet another committee.
I see it being a committee that would only need to meet when it needs to meet.
Then typically, if it's a committee like that, it's an ad hoc committee. You don't put it as a standing committee, like we have ad hoc committees where I work. They only meet when you have to.
That makes sense.
Yeah, me too.
You could designate it as an ad hoc and designate who the membership should be. Like you could have 2 board members or whatever. I just think it's a,
That makes sense.
I think if we already have, if we have members that are dedicated to that, so, we could schedule in a timely manner any concerns that come up, which we didn't have any last year, so that's the good news.
right.
I don't anticipate any moving forward between now and then, but I think it's important to have an established committee, given that it's recommended.
Yeah, or you could tag it under the safety committee. Should there be an issue, it goes to some members of the safety committee. Oh, just thoughts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you already have that committee membership?
It's fine.
Yeah, we could have transportation under safety.
Okay, so that's my first one. On the next page next to that, I'm not really sure if this page is supposed to be in here, but it says category R at the top. And then it says the board may have the following standing committees. I don't think this page is supposed to be in here. See what I'm saying? What is this page
I think that
here?
was suggested.
So that's the School Board Association template,
I don't know.
the policy.
This is a sample.
This is a sample policy.
So it's just showing that that's the recommendation to have
Okay,
transportation,
so
I
that's,
think,
that's,
not actionable.
Yeah, it's,
Silly.
yeah, agreed.
and hang on a minute, wait. We're missing the personnel committee now, on our standing committees. What happened to the personnel, we have to have a personnel committee.
Was it taken off of this? Do we know? Was that discussed in policy?
Not intentionally.
No,
Okay.
nope, it was not.
All right.
It should be on.
Okay.
That's all I have on that policy.
It's listed as negotiations.
But it's not listed in the,
It's not on our.
Yeah, it's not on our actual policy, Chris. So we just need to make sure that that gets into our actual policy.
Oh, okay, guys, you're just,
You're looking at BDE, we're referring to
yeah,
BDF.
looking at the,
The sample,
I'm always confused by.
yeah.
well, it's the procedure, it's listed in the procedure. Under category R,
So,
attach BDE.
yeah. But, yeah, okay. But there were no changes made to the BDE policy. Oh, yeah, that's exactly. Well, all else fails, let's,
I'm now confused as to what the current policy says.
right.
It doesn't
have it.
It doesn't have what?
It doesn't have the personnel committee in our actual Timberlane Regional School Board policy, BDE.
Oh, but this is old anyway. This one was revised
In 20.
in 20, so,
Personnel is not in there.
When that book was last maintained.
yeah, I
Let's
don't.
say
We can make sure
2017.
that we have those maintained on.
So that
site.
Yeah,
one's
we
not the
should
right one.
update this
Yeah.
so that people have it.
Yeah,
Anyway, I think the personnel, I think something got dropped here, because personnel used to be on there as a standing committee, and it said the board chair had to be on the personnel committee. So, I think we need to go
all right,
back.
so I'll ask the policy committee to go back.
Yeah.
Luckily, I sit on that, so I'll remember to ask. Unless you volunteer?
No,
You
no,
Sure?
no.
All right, so we'll take that back to the policy committee and just re-review.
Okay, so policy GBEA
Yep.
is missing the legal references. Policy IKF. This is a change to our high school graduation requirements that are reflective of a change that the state made. I do see this passage of the civics exam, and I see the model policy, but I'm a little confused by the fact that it says the district will develop a competency assessment, but then below that it says they're gonna require this, yes, the citizenship test. So why should we develop our own test if we're gonna have that? It seems like there's
That's the
wording is-
language in the RSA. And in the technical advisory that came from the Department of Ed, there are two assessments
Oh,
that
there are
students
two
need to, there are two assessments.
Oh, okay.
And they
That's
are
unclear.
similar but different. So one is the naturalization. It's very specific on the year, the number of questions. It's a 70 or better. And also a competency assessment, which we are already administering and collecting data on, but now that will be a new requirement.
Okay, great.
Yep.
It was confusing to me. It didn't, so they now have to take 2 tests.
They have to take 2 tests as a graduation requirement, yes.
Okay.
Take and pass 2 tests
Yeah.
as a graduation requirement.
Sadie, can you just remind me what year? Is it sophomore and senior year?
It is going to be, I wish I had it in
Sorry.
front of me. I
Oh,
believe it's
sorry.
beginning, no, it's okay. I think it's beginning with the class of 2024.
Yeah.
And so we have plans in place because we typically administer the competency assessment in the freshman civics course, civics and economics. We have plans in place for those students who already completed 9th grade to catch them up and make sure they have opportunities to do that in their junior year. And so we're looking at actually perhaps administering the immigration assessment, the naturalization test rather, in the junior year anyway. So we have plans in place to make sure that we're
Awesome.
going to be compliant. And we've been planning for that for a couple of years.
And then just so the folks at home who are listening or watching, this was a law passed by the state of New Hampshire. Great, thank you. Any more, Professor Farah?
There's something else, but I don't remember it up. There was an error in one of the RSAs that was in here, but now I can't find it. I was looking at it at home.
So
The thing
this-
is,
oh, go
we
ahead.
don't, I know we've got we have a motion and a second on this, but maybe they want to withdraw that and just do the motion and second on
On,
all of them other than BDE.
Yeah, so,
That's what I would suggest.
who did did I do the motion? No, you did. It is, but I think we identified this that needs to go back, so I don't think BDE is ready for first read yet. So, Mark, can I have you?
Withdraw,
Thank
absolutely.
you. And the second? Whoever.
Mark made it.
You did. No. Well, you withdrew.
Kelly, who made the motion?
Kristen Savage motion for first read,
Yeah,
Mark
thank
Sherwood
you.
second.
I thought so. I will
Always
withdraw
second
my
fiddle.
motion. Thank you. I'm like,
All right, so you both withdrew, thank you.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion for, GBEA, well, all policies other than BDE
I'll make them,
for first
So
read?
moved.
Thank you,
Second.
thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Great, thank you. When I looked at the agenda, that was not the one that I thought would take the most time, but it did, so that's good. And then the last piece was just the committee assignment, so obviously with with a new board member, and Mr. Boyle and Shauna, there was some reworking of some committee assignments, so I just wanted to go through that. Michael Boucher is going to go on to the Curriculum and Assessment Committee. So that was one of the moves. The Timberlane Administrative Union negotiation, Brian Boyle, myself, and Mark will be on that committee to negotiate on that contract. And then the last piece that I have is the New Hampshire School Board Association delegate. There is the New Hampshire School Board Assembly on October 1st that Barbara typically went to. And I'm just looking for a volunteer from the school board who may be able to attend that assembly in Concord that day. Is there anybody that's available? I'll give you a second to think about it.
I'm like, I have a prior commitment, so
What
sorry.
is it? What day is it?
It's October 1st.
Saturday, October
It's a
1st.
Saturday. I mean, guys, this is just.
I'll do it.
Oh,
You're welcome, you guys.
Thank you, Kim.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
You're welcome.
appreciate
sure.
that.
All right, so Kim, I'll make sure that you get the place to sign up,
Okay.
and make sure you get a name tag.
But also, what needs to happen is, there'll be resolutions that, Kim, you'll be voting on as our representative from our board. So we need to get those resolutions and have the board discuss, so you know which way to vote.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I'll make sure to get those resolutions, to you, Kim. We can have a conversation offline about
Okay.
getting those to you, so, and we'll bring them back to the board for our September meeting so that we can talk about them and give you direction on how to vote for us.
Someone for the second September.
Yep. Thank you very much for volunteering. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
Any questions or comments on this? Okay, thank you. So now we're going to the administrator's report. Chris?
No person.
So Steve, I got 4 awesome things to share, and then I think
Awesome.
I know that
Justin's gonna start.
Thank you.
Chris also has some things. So 4 really cool things to share with you guys is this week we brought 40-plus teachers into Timberlane and professional school staff. Thanks in large part to Sandy and her team. They had a lot of onboarding for 3 full days with us, so that's about 10%, north of 10% of that type of workforce. So a good chunk of people spent 3 solid days. Got to meet a whole lot of administrators through the district and in their building. Got some professional learning and some training, and probably most importantly today met with their mentor, their kind of school-based personnel that's going to kind of help them navigate that first year through the Timberlane School District. So the feedback from those staff was awesome. They're an energetic bunch of folks. The hiring process is really challenging and difficult across all professions, particularly in education. So all those folks working through those interview processes on our part, Chris and I certainly wanted to recognize and thank, because it's highly competitive. And I think that I'll echo what Sandy said today, that we've got a good group of competent and skilled people coming on board. So we're excited to welcome them. Second really cool thing I wanted to share was that I had a pleasure of visiting some of the kindergarten camps around the district, and was just blown away, 1, that they exist, and 2, that they were mostly fully staffed by the people that already work here. So they're getting to meet their kids. The turnout from the community was great, and a large percentage of kids are there. The principals are talking really highly about the participation, the engagement, and just to have that kind of building of schema and context for kids before they're going at it, to meet that individual, see the place, learn some of those routines, how to even get out of the car and into the school building. So really cool watching parents line up and seeing the school staff out there smiling, waving, and kind of getting them set up for success in the fall. Wanted to also raise that we're going to be ready to roll at the beginning of the year for ELO partnerships at the high school. As a quick reminder, ELOs are those experiences that are typically initiated by kids, where they're bringing forward a potential experience outside of the school building that's tied directly to a competency that we have here. And they're partnering with the school and with an outside organization or mentor, and really receiving school credit for that learning that happens outside of the school walls. So large part thanks to Mr. Campbell at the high school. He's done a lot of good research. He's worked with a couple of the state models over the course of the last month, and he has got just a trigger form for kids to kind of start using straight away. John from the high school is reporting that the interest is high. We're going to kind of see where that goes. So it's exciting to kind of see where those opportunities, where kids will take them. And the last thing, just to share another positive, is that we've reached the University of New Hampshire, RIV, and also SNHU, and we're seeking some partnerships that look really promising with all 3 organizations right now. And essentially what that looks like is they've all got teacher graduate programs or accreditation programs there. And for us to host those people in our schools when they're doing their clinical pieces, we receive a ton of benefit. We've got more support personnel for kids. And in the long run, we maybe have some of these people signing on as substitutes during their breaks. And in the longer run, retaining some of the best of them and hiring them as full-time staff as the year goes through. And on their end, as an organization, they've got good, solid places where they've got communication with admin that they can send people, and it's trusted, and they know they're going to have a good experience. So excited to see, and we'll kind of keep you guys updated on how those go through. I know we're going to be hosting people from SNHU in special education domain beginning in January, maybe 7 or 9 candidates, and UNH and River also really excited about maybe sending some people here as well. So we'll keep you updated on how that goes.
Really great. Thank you, Justin.
That's cool.
Chris, you got some other things, I think, as well, or?
I'm sorry?
You have some other things as well?
I do, and we had some great luck In the past, Justin had some really great luck with Riviere. We started with just some field work. I was teaching some classes for Riv at the time and had some connections there. So we're going to continue to build upon those partnerships with any university locally that can do so. So that's we really need to create the opportunities to increase our own ability to staff our schools. That's just the trend that we need to really move forward with. So it's exciting, and thank you, Justin, for working on that. All right, so our learning never stops. The learning never stops in the district. I'll start with thanking all of the teachers, paraprofessionals, the related service providers, and administrators who work in our extended school year program throughout the summer to provide those ongoing learning experiences for our identified student population. We're incredibly grateful for your commitment to the students, to all of our students, so thank you to all of our special education administrators, including Kelly Brooks, Amy Daly, Dawn Roberson, and our new high school coordinator, Ricky Chauvin. Also, Nicole McCarthy, who serves as our extended school year coordinator, as well as runs our ASD program in the summertime, and she does so in the middle school as well. So thank you to all of you folks. Thank you to our folks at First Student and Durham Transportation for their provision of school bus transportation throughout the summer. Also, I have a long list of thank yous, so bear with me. All of the teachers and paraprofessionals, administrators for your work during the Title I camp, supporting student learning in all of our elementary schools. Thank you so much for that. Also, thank you to all of our coaches who provide fantastic athletic training and development opportunities for our student athletes throughout the summer with camps and teams starting their practices. As we all know, it's been a very hot summer, so they've been doing quite a bit, the student athletes as well as the coaches, so thank you. And equally, I want to thank the performing arts administrators and staff, including Kurt Schweiss and Eric Constantino, for their band camp and theater camp this summer. I was able to catch Justin and I both were able to catch about 45 minutes of the dress rehearsal, so that was cool to see at the end of theater camp. I would also like to thank all of our district administrators, including principals, assistant principals, directors, as well as the SAU office staff and school and district administrative assistants for all of your dedication and hard work, wrapping up the last school year and preparing for the coming school year, especially with respect to the hiring of school staff. As we heard earlier, that is still quite a challenge. And I know I speak for everybody, school board, and all district staff, when I say thank you to our maintenance and custodial staff. And Steve, thank you for mentioning that earlier. They continue to work tirelessly throughout the summer, as they do all year, and they'll be doing that right up until the morning of the 29th to ensure that our schools and facilities are safe, clean, and ready to provide the best possible learning environments for our students and staff. So thank you to Carl and the entire maintenance and custodial staff. They do great work, so we're very grateful. This is a preliminary, some school safety training. We will be bringing forward some more information at the September 1st school board meeting as we are working to finalize plans and expect to bring a recommendation to the school board for some changes to the school calendar at the next meeting. The anticipated changes would create the opportunity for a 3 to 4 hour block of school safety training, and it is ALICE training. We will continue, we've begun that training, but we can't say yet that we are an ALICE district until we do more training. This is the second phase of that ALICE training. It will be school specific, which will mean that each school will have an early release day on a different day. This is our proposal, at least, that we'll bring forward to the board. It's necessary to do it this way because our partnership with our police departments from each of the towns will require a comprehensive approach with members of all of the agencies from all 4 towns working together with each of our schools. So we expect that each school will have a separate early release day between October 17th and October 27th. We know that this will pose a significant impact for families. That's why I'm giving it preliminary. Until we move it forward to the school board, I don't want to give specific information because I don't want to create confusion. But we do have a mock schedule that we would be looking at. I have been in touch with both the TTA and the TSSU preliminarily, and we'll speak to them in greater length about this next week. Continuing with some thanks I want to thank all of the district administrators for their enthusiastic participation in our summer leadership retreat. Moreover, I do want to thank our school board for the incredible support for this two-day event where we focused on further developing our foundation of our values through team building and the connections to student learning and our district culture. And we'll continue to build upon that foundation as we move forward with our strategic planning and all that we do moving forward. I would also like to thank the district administrators for participating in the Powerful Learning Conference that was provided by the State of New Hampshire Department of Education. And thank you, Sandy, for coordinating all of us locally, something that's not always easy to do. The Powerful Learning Conference was for schools and districts to work collaboratively as teams to develop and enhance our plans for supporting competency-based learning experiences that lead to improved student outcomes for all students. So we look forward to continuing our work in this and connecting all elements of this type of continuous improvement of our culture and learning across the Timberlane Regional School District. And it is budget development season. So this is, of course, an integral part of providing a high-quality education, and all of the experiences that we provide for our students, staff, and our families relies upon our having a substantial budget. So I would like to invite the public to participate in our budget committee meetings. The schedule will be on the website, and those meetings are open to the public, and they will also be broadcast and live streamed, so you can view them from the comfort of your own home if you would like. But it will give you a much more in-depth understanding of what goes into the development of our budget and what is in our school district budget. And as we talked about earlier, yes, school bus routes will be updated and posted tomorrow on our website. So please look for those. That's under that. If you go to the transportation section under the query, school bus stop query, you can find your individual bus stop. And we would like to welcome our school district staff back on August 24th and 25th for the beginning of the school year professional development days. We will have a full district day on the 25th, and that will end with a full district, a message for the entire school district, and I will be sending out invitations for school board members to attend that messaging in the afternoon of the 25th. For any of those who can make it, we would certainly welcome your attendance there, so thank you. And lastly, and most importantly, we would like to welcome back all of our Timberlane Regional School District students as the first day of school is rapidly approaching on Monday, August 29th. We are so looking forward to have you back, and I will tell you, you still have another week again down here in Florida. They started here on Monday, so we have a couple more weeks of summer before we get started. So enjoy the rest of your summer vacation, students and families, and we look forward to seeing you all on the 29th. That's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Personnel report, we have one professional nomination. So I will make a motion to accept Julia Plummer, special education teacher at Atkinson Academy.
Second.
All in favor? Great. Committee reports. We'll start by going around. Mark?
I think we covered everything earlier.
I like to hear that. Kim?
I don't think I have any, no.
Okay. Kristen?
I'll set right now.
I'm good. Kim?
Just been ongoing union negotiations.
Been so much fun. Shauna?
Nothing?
Katie?
Nothing.
Mike?
I was just going to say, Budget Committee has a meeting August 25th at 7 o'clock. And Strategic Planning has a meeting on September 7th at 5:30.
Thank you. If we have no other business, oh, we do have other business.
Yeah, just real brief. So over the past couple of weeks, I had the opportunity to go on a tour at the middle school and the high school, and I just want to thank the administrators for inviting me and allow me to, view the school, see how it operates, being able to, speak about, the ways that they're preparing our students for the future. And it was very enlightening. They're doing a lot of great work at both of those schools. And, there is more going on than they definitely share on a regular basis. So they're definitely working very hard over there. There were two things of note that I wanted to bring up. And it's just, some of the things people have probably heard before. The first is that, also we talked about updates to the facilities, and obviously the maintenance department's doing a great job, making sure that they're, keeping up with all the repairs and whatnot. But even during my tour, the school looked basically brand new, but there's even moments where you find that one or two rooms where the walls were literally crumbling. And I know some people in the public have heard about this before because they've had students within the school system that might have seen it before. But, being able to see it for the first time myself, I really believe that we're at a point now where I think as a community we should start thinking about how we're going to move beyond just always doing the maintenance of these things every year, and maybe look into, like a major project at some point. And, through like the strategic planning committee, we'll probably have a discussion about that, a real serious discussion. The only other thing that that came up actually in both schools, both the middle school and the high school, there was a discussion about mental health amongst students. And, right now the counselors are doing, best job they possibly can. From what I understood, they have a ratio of roughly one counselor to 250 students. And for the most part, they're meeting those needs. But in both schools, the administrators expressed that they really could use possibly another social worker. So I'm hoping that at some point in the near future, they can formally present that to the board about this possible need. Because it definitely sounded as though that we're only keeping up with the issue, and it's definitely something that has exacerbated since COVID. So I think we should try to make sure that we're ahead of this. So hopefully they bring that information forward to us about how deep of concern it is. But I do want to have one more note related to that. In the middle school, over this past year, they had a volunteer therapy dog. That was part of one of the resources they had, and there was a very positive feedback towards having that dog there. And I highly suggest that if possible, they should bring that forward and to see if we can have a permanent therapy dog within the school system. Based on what I was told, it was previously a volunteer dog, but having a permanent dog is actually not that costly, and it had a huge benefit.
Yeah, please.
Justin?
Yeah.
So we're working with Snu and Revere on teachers.
Yep.
Can we work with them on social workers? I know we've done that in the past where we've had people come in and do interns, but in people that have to do that and just have that counseling experience that are working on that.
Sure, yeah, and-
degree, is that something we can look to
Absolutely.
bring them into the school to offer them to kids?
Yeah, and we're looking to bring in folks that are in any teacher credentialing program. So a lot of that stuff that you talked about would be covered there.
So maybe we can focus a
Yep.
little extra on that to get the resource available to the school and see how it gets utilized before we.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you for that. And I would also, I think, the conversations, Mike, that you had with those staff, I think it's really important that those staff feel that they have a path to go to the administration to talk about these things, because that, I think from a process perspective, they can't just show up on a Thursday night and say, hey, we want a therapy dog.
Right, no.
So I think just that they feel open to talk to their building administrators, and their building administrators know, really the process in which it takes to to kind of add these things. You know, I'm not opposed to those, but we just want to make sure that the process is being followed, and there's a lot of thought that goes into those decisions, and, you know, the superintendent and assistant superintendent and team, you know, really have to weigh those thoughts, so.
Right, no, I understand that, and like I said, hopefully they go through formally and they present the actual need and what the problems they're trying to address, so we all have the proper information before us before we make a decision.
Great.
To overlap a little bit on what Michael had said before, I also had a chance to review the two facilities, and I've been on them with BudCom as well. It is open to the public. I would recommend anybody who has voiced an opinion one way or the other, or is just interested, to attend some of those walks, because until you see the facilities, you don't appreciate how old Atkinson Academy is, you don't appreciate how old, you know, the central school is, and even some of the newer schools, just some of the structural major repairs that we're looking at as a district. September 6th at 5 o'clock, I believe that's the main campus tour. September 8th, we're going to be doing Sandown and Danville. And on the 20th, Atkinson and Pollard. So whether you just want to see the school in your own town, or whether you want to see where all of our collective taxpayer money is going and what we're doing to maintain our facilities, please, the public is welcome. And, you know, seeing it is different than just reading a report and looking at the big dollar sign. So public is welcome to attend.
Thank you, Mark. Kim?
So, just to try to clarify, Michael, in terms of the counselors, or a therapy dog, or both, the process would need to start here in the fall as we approach budget season, and we'd be looking at adding lines to the budget for the following year. We don't really have the funds in the budget or the salary lines to do anything at this point, especially given that the fact that we basically cut any salary lines that are, quote, open. In the past, there was a lot of opportunity to move people around. There's not that wiggle room in the budget anymore. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that the budget probably will not be able to, the current budget is not the place to add those. You'll be looking at adding them a year from now.
Right, and I understand it, like I said, I mean, hopefully they formally present something and then we can consider it whenever it's possible.
Yeah, as part of the budget process, any additional positions that schools or we as a district, you know, collectively are looking to request would happen through the budget process. Specific to counselors and social workers, that's something that Ginger Drexel, again, the new Director of Student Services, will be researching, you know, just getting a good handle on the understanding of the supports that our counselors, and we have a single school social worker now. There used to be multiple, but all of that will be under her purview, and she will be assessing the supports that we currently provide, the supports that we believe we need to provide, and the resources that we have to do so. And you know, along with, you know, providing more information to you all as a school board and to the budget committee in the event that we are bringing anything forward. We will be providing the state minimum standards that speak to the ratios that are required by those state standards, and you know, what other opportunities we might be able to adjust with respect to these resources that we currently have, or what we would be looking to do in the future. So yes, back to, I guess that's the long-winded, yeah, there is a process in place. We will continue to evaluate our needs and provide those recommendations to the budget committee and subsequently to the school board, or at the same time to the school board as well.
Okay. Is there anything else that we want to talk about? No? All right. We do have to go into a non-public under 91-A:3 C. And so I will take a...
Are you sure? Going in under C?
I? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, not C. Oh, you're right, not C. I apologize. I.
I'll second that motion, so motion to go into 91A:3, paragraph 2, section I.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Don't you have to do?
You do have to do a roll call
Yep.
vote on this.
Yep. All right, so we'll do a roll call on that, please.
Michael Boucher,
Here.
Kate Knudsen,
Yes.
Shauna Manthor.
Yes.
Kim Farah,
Yes?
Steve Finnegan.
Yes.
Kim McCormick.
Yes.
Kristen Savage.
Yes.
Mark Sherwood.
Yes.
Brian Boyle.
Yes.
See if you were awake, Kristen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay,
Give it 10.